Jerusalem. A city whose very name echoes through the prayers and dreams of millions around the world. Here, faith and history are not just words. They are living, breathing forces that shape every stone and every street. For centuries, Christians have called this place home, their roots as deep and enduring as the ancient olive trees that crown its hills. Generations have walked these paths, drawn by devotion and a sense of belonging. But today, a quiet fear haunts the Christian quarter, casting long shadows even in the brightest daylight. The fear isn't of distant armies or far-off threats, but of neighbors, of being made to feel unwelcome in the very land where their faith was born. This isn't just about dwindling numbers, it's about real people, families and individuals, quietly questioning if they still belong in the city that has shaped their identity. The Christian community has survived empires, wars, and centuries of change, but the challenges they face now feel more personal, more insidious, and harder to name. Daily life has become a struggle for respect and safety, even on streets that once felt so familiar and secure. The tension is thick, almost tangible, threatening the fragile balance that allows this diverse city to coexist. For Christians, Jerusalem is both a sacred symbol and simply home, a place to raise families, run shops, and worship in peace, as generations before them have done. Recent hostility has shaken that sense of home, forcing families to reconsider their future here, and to wonder if their children will inherit the same connection to this land. The Christian presence is not a relic of the past, it's a living, breathing part of Jerusalem's identity, woven into its daily rhythms and celebrations. Their schools, hospitals, and prayers are threads in the city's fabric, offering care, education, and hope to all who live here. Losing them would mean losing a vital piece of Jerusalem itself, a loss that would echo far beyond these ancient walls. Their fears matter, and their story must be heard, for it is part of the story of Jerusalem itself. What happens when a community that's endured for 2 millennia feels its very foundation begin to crack and shift beneath their feet? The soul of Jerusalem hangs in the balance, its future shaped by the fate of those who have called it home for generations. In 2024, hostility against Christians in Jerusalem has surged to unprecedented levels, casting a shadow over the city's ancient streets and sacred sites. What were once rare, isolated incidents have now become a disturbing and persistent pattern, leaving many in the community feeling increasingly vulnerable. Priests are spat upon in broad daylight, churches are defaced with hateful graffiti, and holy sites, once revered by all, are now targets for vandalism and disrespect. These are not random acts of mischief. They're deliberate, coordinated attempts to intimidate, marginalize, and drive fear into the hearts of the Christian community. The message is clear and chilling. Intolerance is on the rise, and it's being broadcast for all to see. Clergy now face not only verbal insults but also physical attacks, their faith and identity weaponized against them in public spaces where they once felt safe. Each incident shatters the sense of sanctuary, turning places meant for peace, prayer, and reflection into targets of aggression and fear. Over 100 attacks have been officially reported this year alone, yet many more go unspoken, as victims fear retaliation or believe nothing will change. The frequency and unpredictability of these acts force Christians to live in a constant state of alert, always watching over their shoulders. It's a psychological assault as much as a physical one, slowly eroding their sense of belonging and security in the city they call home. The community, once visible and proud, now finds itself considering hiding its faith, covering crosses, gathering in private, and avoiding public displays of tradition for safety. This is not just a series of isolated events, it's a systematic erosion of belonging, a slow dismantling of a community's place in Jerusalem's fabric. The impact is felt in every aspect of daily life, from business owners fearing for their livelihoods to children needing escorts just to attend school. The Christian community's future in Jerusalem is under threat, as congregations shrink and community centers close their doors. The city's unique identity, shaped by centuries of Christian presence, is at risk of fading away if this rising tide of hostility isn't turned back. This is the heavy, sobering reality for Christians in Jerusalem today, a community holding on to hope, even as their place in the city grows ever more uncertain. Who is behind this wave of hostility? Evidence points to extremists from ultra-Orthodox and national religious Jewish communities, though they do not represent all Jews. Their radical ideology sees Christians as outsiders, not neighbors. The most visible targets are clergy, priests, monks, and nuns, easily identified by their robes and crosses. Attacks on them are symbolic, meant to intimidate the entire community. Public harassment sends a chilling message: you are not welcome. This strategy aims to silence leaders and, by extension, their followers. The constant threat forces clergy to alter routines and live with anxiety. It's a violation of their right to worship in peace. The root is a narrow worldview that cannot coexist with others. This is not a political battle, but a clash of identities on ancient streets. To protect Jerusalem's Christians, we must confront the intolerance at its core. The impact of hostility is profound and deeply personal, touching every aspect of daily life for Christians in Jerusalem. Christians in Jerusalem live with a constant underlying anxiety, an ever-present fear for their own safety and for the well-being of their children as they walk the ancient streets. Sacred seasons like Easter and Christmas, which once brought joy and celebration, have now become times of heightened tension and uncertainty, overshadowed by the threat of conflict. Processions are blocked, celebrations are met with open hostility, and the freedom to worship is often disrupted by outside forces. The result is a growing sense of alienation. Many feel like outsiders in the very city that is central to their faith and history. This persistent pressure erodes not only their connection to the land, but also to the rich history of their faith, making it harder to pass on traditions to future generations. The burden they carry is not just about physical safety but also about maintaining dignity, identity, and a sense of belonging in their ancestral home. For centuries, Christians have served as a bridge between cultures in Jerusalem. Now they find themselves increasingly pushed to the margins, their voices often unheard. In the face of adversity, they must defend not only their right to exist, but also their right to worship and to contribute to the city shaped by their faith. The heaviest cross they bear is the gradual loss of peace, respect, and the sense of security that once defined their lives here. The question is not just about survival, but about the fundamental right to live, worship, and pray in peace without fear or intimidation. This is the daily reality for Jerusalem's Christians, a life marked by resilience, hope, and the ongoing struggle to preserve their heritage. Their struggle is for dignity as much as safety, and for the right to remain rooted in the city that has shaped their faith for generations. Amid the darkness, hope flickers. More victims are now reporting attacks to the police, a significant shift. For years, many suffered in silence, fearing nothing would change or that reporting would bring more trouble. Now the community is moving from passive endurance to active resistance. By filing reports, they demand accountability and assert their rights. This new stance empowers the community and signals that intolerance won't go unchallenged. Each report builds a case for action, giving advocacy groups and church leaders concrete evidence. Personal pain is transformed into collective power. This is the first step toward meaningful change and long-term safety. The courage to speak up is a sign of resilience and hope. It suggests a fragile but growing trust in the system. The road ahead is long, but this is a vital beginning. The community is standing up for its place in Jerusalem's story. In that stand, there is strength and cautious optimism. The greatest concern is for the next generation. Nearly half of young Christians are considering leaving Jerusalem. This isn't a decision made lightly, it's born of despair and a sense of no future. Young people see limited opportunities and persistent hostility. They grow up hearing stories of harassment and witnessing disrespect. Without hope for change, emigration seems like the only option. This potential exodus threatens the Christian presence in the Holy Land. The loss would be devastating. A brain drain, a loss of culture, and empty churches. Jerusalem's identity as a shared city would be hollowed out. The dilemma of the youth is a stark warning. If this trend continues, the Christian community could become a relic. The consequences would be felt by all of Jerusalem. The city's soul is at stake. This is a call to action for the future. The Christian experience in Israel varies by location. In mixed cities like Haifa or Jaffa, Christians often feel safer and more accepted. Daily interactions foster tolerance and respect, but in Jerusalem, especially in certain neighborhoods, the atmosphere is tense. Christians here are more hesitant to display their faith openly. The risk of abuse is higher, leading many to hide their identity. This divide shows the problem isn't nationwide, but concentrated in hotspots. The contrast proves coexistence is possible, and highlights where work is needed. Solutions must be local, targeting the neighborhoods where hostility festers. Dialogue and bridge building are essential. The goal? Make all of Jerusalem as safe as its most tolerant cities. Only then can Jerusalem truly be a city of peace. The path forward requires focused, community-based efforts. The city's future depends on bridging these divides. What fuels this hostility? The answer is often ignorance. Many perpetrators act not from deep belief, but from a lack of knowledge about Christians and their history here. Into this vacuum, stereotypes and prejudice take root. The solution must begin with education, teaching about Christianity and its local communities and schools. Real understanding replaces caricature with the face of a neighbor. But education must go beyond classrooms. Public awareness campaigns and community events are vital. Indifference from the majority allows extremism to grow. Public engagement is the antidote. For too long, Jerusalem's Christians have been overlooked. The path forward requires society to see, learn, and care. Christians are not outsiders, they are an ancient, integral part of this land. The fear in Jerusalem is a call to action. Authorities and society must not ignore it. Indifference enables intolerance. Every act of anti-Christian bigotry must be condemned and prosecuted. Protecting Christian sites and people is essential, but so is rebuilding trust. Security alone isn't enough. True peace requires changing hearts and minds. Education and dialogue are key to a future where faith is a thread, not a barrier. The challenge is to turn anxiety into coexistence, making Jerusalem a home for all. The resilience of the Christian community is a testament to enduring faith. Their prayer for peace is a prayer for the city itself. The goal is not higher walls but open doors. A Jerusalem where all faiths walk together as neighbors. This is the vision, a city living up to its sacred name. The prayer for peace requires action from all. The soul of Jerusalem depends on it.